always lets you know what bridge you're currently on. Okay? This is bridge 194. It always lets you know what your operator number is, your operator 25, and then it always shows you the date and the time. Again, this is your information bar. It's going to always be at the very top of your screen, highlighted in blue. It always lets you know what bridge you're currently on. This is bridge 194. It lets you know what your operator number is, your operator 25, and then it always gives you the date and the time. Okay? Your operator number will not be the same every day. So if it's not 25 tomorrow, it's no big deal. It does not have to be the same. Okay, again, that's your information bar. The next thing we're going to take a look at is your toolbar. Your toolbar is something that you will not be utilizing. Okay, so once you've actually logged in and you've established your audio path, you can actually go ahead and get rid of your toolbar. And to do that, you're going to click on View and go down to Toolbar, and you're just going to simply uncheck it. This is just to make sure you don't make any errors, okay? Because sometimes you can easily click on one of these icons, and sometimes it can or it may not cause an issue, okay? Just so you'll be on the safe side, we just ask you to remove your toolbar. Okay, so let's get it back and let's just walk through that again. You're going to click on View and just uncheck Toolbar, and that's going to remove your toolbar. The next thing we're going to take a look at is going to be your pending queue, your enter queue, and your help request box. When a participant first dials in for a conference call, they first show up in the pending queue. While they're in the pending queue, they're listening to the annunciator, which will say something like, "Thank you for calling the conferencing center. Please hold for the next available operator." Okay? As soon as they do that, after that, they go directly to the enter queue. And that's when they become an enter mode, when they drop into the enter queue. So again, they start off in the pending queue, where they're listening to the annunciator or the greeter. And then they go to the enter queue, and that's when they become an enter mode. And they're on music hold until they're picked up by a live operator. Okay? We do not pick up on a line until it becomes an enter mode. So while they're in the pending queue, you don't bother it. But once it drops into the enter queue, that's when you double click on that line and pick it up. I'm going to dial in on a line just so you can get the idea. Give me 1 second. Okay, right now that line is in the pending queue. And this just simply lets you know that they're listening to the annunciator. Okay, now it's in enter mode. And this particular line is on music hold until they're picked up by a live operator. Okay, are there any questions so far? Okay, this next queue here is a help request queue. Anytime a participant presses *0, they're going to show up here under the help request box. This is not something you guys will have to pick up on, anyone that drops into the help request box. You're not responsible, again, for anyone that drops into the help queue. Okay, so you guys don't have to worry about that. The next thing we're going to take a look at is your operator status bar. Your operator status bar is at the very bottom of the screen. The first thing you should see here is AVL. AVL lets you know the amount of lines that are available on the bridge. So right now we have 216 lines for participants to either call in to join a conference or for us to actually dial out on. Okay? AVL stands for the number of available lines. Next is DC. DC stands for the number of disconnected lines. We're not currently using this, so this will always be set at 0. ENT stands for intermode. Right now we have one intermode holding one participant or speaker waiting to be picked up by a live operator. Next is FLT. This stands for faulted lines. This is something that you do not have to worry about. Okay. HLP stands for help. Anytime a participant presses *0, that's going to activate the help. So if we have one participant that's pressing *0, this number will then be 1. Next we have OPRC1. This basically lets you know what conference room you're currently in. For an example, let's say if I click, or let's say I place someone into conference 30. Okay, whatever conference room I'm in, that same number is going to be displayed in your operator status bar. As you can see, I am clicked into conference 30, and that same number is displayed in my operator status bar. It shows you C30, letting you know that I'm currently in conference 30. The next thing you should see is TLK off. TLK off means that your talker is off. Okay, and the fact that is black, that's an indication that your talker is off. If your talker is on, it's going to be highlighted pink. Okay, if your talker is on, it's going to be highlighted pink, and it's going to say TLK on, letting you know that your talker is on. Okay, pink is on, black is off. Access line. Whatever line number you have access, that same line number is going to be displayed in your operator status bar. So let's say if I pick up on this line. This particular participant is on line 182. I know that because if you look at the top left corner of the line detail screen, you should see 182. That same line number is going to be displayed in your operator status bar. These two numbers will always be the same. There will never be a case where these two numbers are different. So if anyone ever asks you what line are you on, or your line number, this is where you're going to look, at the top left corner of your line detail screen. Are there any questions so far? I also want you to notice that once I double click, to pick up on an intermode, you're going to simply double click on that line. And once I double click on that line, my talker automatically turns itself on. Once I place a participant into a conference call, my talker automatically turns itself off. Okay. Each conference bridge has 999 conference rooms. You can see that here. If you scroll all the way down, you can see that we actually have 999 conference rooms. You can also sort the different columns by the column header. And to get them back into numerical order, you simply click on conference number twice, and that's going to put them back into numerical order. Are there any questions so far? Okay. Now we're going to pay attention to the line branding. It's very important that you pay close attention to the line branding. Okay, if we look here, this is your line branding. This is also how you're going to know what conference the participant is going to dial in to join. It's just an indication, not a confirmation of what conference each participant or speaker is dialing in to join. Okay, so if you see PART,
Thank you.
that stands for participant. Or if you see PRT, that stands for participant. Okay, this line branding line shows you PART asterisk Noonan. The line is going to be branded with PART, letting you know that it's a participant asterisk, and then it'll have the company name. Okay. Being that this is just a participant dialing in, you're going to use just the basic scripting. Good morning. May I have your conference ID number, please? The scripting is not going to pop up on the screen for you. This is something you're going to have to memorize. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start picking up on these lines that are dialing in. Give me 1 second. I'm going to dial in more than one line. One moment. We can also have several hundreds of lines dialing in at one time. The best thing you can do is just take each line as they come in. Just take your time and do one at a time. That's all you can do. Before we even do that, let's actually go through a conference call. Give me 1 second. I'm going to scroll down and find one for us to take a look at.